In 138 BC, a Chinese diplomat walked west with 100 men into the unknown. His name was Zhang Qian, sent by Emperor Wu of Han to find the Yuezhi people as allies against the Xiongnu nomads. He never found what he was looking for, but what he found instead connected the world for 1,500 years. Zhang Qian's fate was more dramatic than anyone could have imagined. Barely past the Han frontier, the Xiongnu captured his entire party. For 13 years, he lived among them, married a Xiongnu wife, and had children. Yet he never forgot his mission. Through all those years, he kept the emperor's diplomatic staff, the symbol of his oath and his identity. After 13 years, Zhang Qian finally escaped. With his Xiongnu wife and a single loyal companion named Ganfu, he traveled west through Fergana and Bactria and found the Yuezhi. But they had settled comfortably in new lands and had no interest in war. On the journey home, he was captured again and held for another year. When he finally returned to Chang'an, only 2 survived from the original 100. Emperor Wu considered the mission a failure. Then Zhang Qian described what he had seen, and the emperor changed his mind. Emperor Wu ordered the route opened. He extended the Great Wall westward to the Jade Gate Pass and built 1,000 kilometers of beacon towers and garrison forts through the Heshi Corridor. This narrow strip of land, squeezed between the Chilean Mountains and the Gobi Desert, became the throat of the Silk Road. From that moment, Chinese silk, tea, and porcelain, and Western gold, glass, and spices had an open highway. Silk, the commodity that gave this road its name. The Chinese guarded the secret of silk production for 2,000 years. The penalty for smuggling silkworm eggs or mulberry seeds was death. In the Roman Empire, a pound of silk was worth a pound of gold. Roman senators debated banning silk togas as dangerously decadent. Around 550 AD, 2 monks finally broke the monopoly, smuggling silkworm eggs to Byzantium hidden inside hollow walking staffs. The Silk Road was not a single road, but a vast trading network. In the bazaars of Samarkand and Kashgar, you could find goods from across the world: Chinese silk and porcelain, Indian spices and cotton, Persian glass and carpets, Roman gold and silver. Chinese paper-making spread to the Arab world after the Battle of Talas in 751 AD. Captured Chinese craftsmen taught the technique to their captors. A single military defeat changed the course of human civilization. The most precious cargo on the Silk Road was not silk, it was ideas. Buddhism traveled from India to China along these very trade routes, and monasteries rose at every oasis along the way. The murals we saw in the Dunhuang Mogao caves are witnesses to this journey. The brilliant blue lapis lazuli pigment in those paintings came from mines in Afghanistan, 7,000 kilometers away. The manuscripts in Sogdian, Sanskrit, and Tibetan found in Cave 17 are a snapshot of Silk Road multiculturalism. In 629 AD, a 27-year-old monk named Xuanzang secretly slipped out of Tang Chang'an, defying the emperor's ban on foreign travel. In the Gobi Desert, his water bag fell and emptied. For 4 days and 5 nights, he had no water and nearly perished. Just when he thought death was certain, his old horse suddenly turned north. It had smelled water that Xuanzang could not. 17 years later, Xuanzang returned to Chang'an with 657 Buddhist texts. His story inspired the novel journey to the West. Buddhism was not alone. Islam reached China in 651 AD, just 19 years after the Prophet Muhammad's death, nearly a century before it reached Spain. Nestorian Christianity arrived in Tang Chang'an in 635 AD, and Emperor Taizong personally approved the construction of a church. Zoroastrianism and Manichaeism followed. The Muslim quarter of Xi'an today is the living legacy of Silk Road merchants who settled and intermarried over 1,000 years ago. Tang Dynasty Chang'an had a population exceeding 1 million, the largest city in the world. In its west market, you could hear Sogdian, Persian, Arabic, and Sanskrit. Sogdian merchants dominated Silk Road trade so thoroughly that their language became the lingua franca of Central Asia. Tang emperors appointed foreigners to high government positions. Central Asian music filled the court, and nobles considered drinking foreign wine and dancing foreign dances the height of fashion. The pipa, one of China's most beloved instruments today, came along the Silk Road. The Mongol Empire's unification brought the Silk Road its final golden age. During the Pax Mongolica, a traveler could journey from China to Europe under a single political authority. In 1271, Venetian merchant Marco Polo set out for Kublai Khan's court and stayed in China for 17 years. He described paper money, coal, and the postal relay system to Europeans. Nobody believed him. The Venetians nicknamed him Il Milione, the man of a million lies. But everything he said was true. As the land route declined through war and instability, the maritime Silk Road rose to replace it. From Guangzhou and Xuanzhou, Chinese ships rode the monsoon winds to Southeast Asia, across the Indian Ocean and to the Arabian Peninsula. Xuanzhou was one of the busiest ports in the world during the Song and Yuan dynasties. Marco Polo called it Zaytun and said it was larger than Alexandria. Guangzhou's Huaixing Mosque, built in 627 AD, is China's oldest, predating Islam's arrival in Spain by nearly a century. In 1405, the Ming Emperor Yongle sent Admiral Zheng He to sea with an armada beyond anything the world had seen. His flagship treasure ships were 130 meters long, more than 4 times the length of Columbus's at Santa Maria. The first voyage carried 317 ships and 27,800 men. They reached Vietnam, India, the Persian Gulf, Arabia, and the East African coast, bringing back giraffes that were hailed as the mythical Chilean. But after 1435, the voyages stopped and the sea charts were reportedly destroyed. 60 years later, Vasco da Gama reached India with 4 ships. One of history's greatest what-ifs was born. The Silk Road's decline was not a single event, but a gradual fading. In 1453, the Ottoman Empire captured Constantinople, severing the western terminus of the land route. In 1498, Portuguese navigator Vasco da Gama reached India by sea, faster, cheaper, and safer than any caravan. The oasis cities of Central Asia fell quiet, and the sound of camel bells faded into the desert. But the Silk Road's legacy, Buddhism, papermaking, gunpowder, the compass, countless foods and melodies, had already embedded itself deep in every civilization it touched. In 1900, a Taoist monk named Wang Yuanlu discovered a sealed cave at Dunhuang's Mogao Caves. Inside lay approximately 40,000 manuscripts, sealed for 900 years. Written in Chinese, Tibetan, Sanskrit, and Sogdian, they were a time capsule of Silk Road multilingual civilization. But British explorer Aurel Stein and French sinologist Paul Pelliot purchased thousands of priceless manuscripts for pennies. Today they are scattered across the British Library and the Bibliothèque Nationale de France, a wound in Chinese cultural heritage that has never fully healed. In 2013, China announced the Belt and Road Initiative. Today, freight trains run from Chongqing to Duisburg, Germany, roughly following the ancient Silk Road route. Over 150 countries have joined the initiative, from the port of Gwadar in Pakistan to the Mombasa Railway in Kenya. A new trade network is taking shape. The route Zhang Qian walked 2,000 years ago now carries railways and fiber optic cables. The Silk Road never truly disappeared. It simply found a new way to exist. In Samarkand, Uzbekistan, the 3 magnificent madrasas of the Registan Square still stand, covered in breathtaking blue tile work. This was once one of the most glorious cities on the Silk Road. Today, UNESCO has inscribed the Silk Road, the corridor from Chang'an to the Tian Shan Mountains, as a World Heritage Site. It was never just a road. It was the longest conversation between civilizations the world has ever known. The Silk Road was never just a road. It was a question that civilizations asked each other across 7,000 kilometers of desert and mountain. What do you have that I don't? And the answers changed everything. From Zhang Qian's first step to Xuanzang's lonely pilgrimage, from Zheng He's treasure fleets to today's high-speed railways, humanity has never stopped yearning to connect. This road teaches us that no civilization is an island. Our history was always written together,